And today's date is 22/02/2021. I will take an example of representation of a beam, which is an overhang beam, acted upon by different types of loading. And let's find out how this beam is supported. First, let's understand and then find the support reaction. So such problems can be quite often asked in competitive exam or also maybe asked in the examination. Importantly, you're going to solve mechanics of material in the next semester. So at that time, you are expected to go more in detail of understanding the section properties of the beam. At that time, you are required to draw an important diagram called the shear force bending moment diagram. So when you have to draw, the very first step that you have to carry out is you will understand the given beam, which type of beam, what are the supports, and what type of loading are they present in the beam. And you would essentially find out the support reaction on first step. And then you will go for drawing shear force bending moment diagram. Maybe in rigid body mechanics, I'm not going to explain you to draw shear force bending moment diagram at the moment in today's lecture. Instead, I would stop how do you find out support reaction by drawing the free body diagram. That's it. So let's just look at an example problem for the same. Look at how do I represent an overhang beam schematically. So I just draw a horizontal line, and one end of the line is represented in this way. What is representing a hinge? So this is what is the representation of hinge. Hinge means what it is. You can immediately imagine that hinge is like a hinge of a door. So door is constrained to rotate at the hinge. A door is not translating. So there are translating doors. Where are these? Where are those translating doors? Can you give an example? Translating doors.
Sir, sliding doors.
Exactly, yeah. So you see in the malls, you want to go into the mall. As you reach the door or the entry, you see there are glassy doors are just giving away, moving them on both sides of you. That's sliding doors. So sliding doors are translating doors. There are appropriate sensors mounted. It would recognize that you are going to go, and that opens. You see the doors of the lift facility. So as you reach there, you see the doors are sliding. There can be collapsing door or there can be sliding doors. So these doors are constrained to slide. But hinge is a normal door of our home entry. You see, I open my door and I rotate the door to open the door and rotate about the hinge. So hinge has got a particular constraint that it will arrest translation, whereas sliding will have a particular constraint where it arrests rotation. So that's what you should understand. So the beam here, the hinge refer, it is constraining the translation, right? So let's just say this point is A, but it is not constraining the rotation. That's what you should understand. So this is point A, and this beam is overhang. That means you do not have other end support, other support beforehand here, and this support is a roller support. So you look at these are the rollers. And it is not horizontal rollers, it is at an angle they are oriented, and that orientation angle is 30 degrees now. So here what is the constraint that would be offered? This beam would not go in normal direction to this flow. It is prevented to have a translation in the normal direction of this support. But the roller would make the beam have slight displacement along the slope, which could adjust or which could prevent the free expansion of your beam, right? You could see such beams are deliberately given one side roller in order to accommodate expansion or contraction that is unavoidable in a highly elevated temperature or highly less temperature environment or fluctuating temperature environment. So most of the time the beam material is made of metal, then the metal will have its own expansion coefficient or contraction coefficient that may make the member to axially expand or contract, and such kind of smaller displacement to be accounted in the sense not to be prevented. If you prevent, stress will be developed in the member. If you do not prevent, there won't be any stress. So you do not want to prevent such a axial displacement. The roller part is to account such kind of translation or displacements in axial direction. So that is the function of a roller. So let's call this support as a roller. This is a hinge and roller. So now this member what is drawn is nicely seated, supported, and that is horizontal. And this is altogether called important member beam. So beam is not only you would represent in the buildings. Beams are element which can be mechanical systems. Quite often that you could witness and use them. So if this beam is now supported by a load, for that let me just make this for convenient naming. So this roller is roller B, this is hinge A, and I have also a point here C, and I also have a point here D. So now let's look at the distance from here is 2 meters, and again this distance from C to D 6 meters. I may not have drawn appropriate to the scale, but this is schematic sketch. So 2 meters, and again here this overhang portion is 3 meters. So the total span of the beam is 5 plus 6, 11 plus 2, 13 meters span. And this 13-meter span beam is supported simply. That's why it's called a simply supported beam. This is called a simply supported beam. One end will have a hinge. Maybe in the span other end or in the span somewhere you would have a roller. And since beyond the support there is a overhang portion, this is called overhanging simply supported beam. And the load of that beam, at this overhang portion, I have a load of 80 kilonewton. And also I have a load from span in the span of CD running from C to D, but the load is a distributed load, and that load also is not uniformly distributed. It is distributed as if at point C the load value is 40 kilonewton, but that is varying per unit length as this way. It is varying. At point D, the variation ends with a value of 80 kilonewton per meter. So per meter means it's load per unit length. And this span of 6 meters, I have the variation goes from 40 kilonewton per meter till 80 kilonewton per meter. And the variation you see, it is represented by a slope, constant slope. So linear variation. It can also be varying with any of the given function. It can be of quadratic variation, cubic variation, or any polynomial degree variation. Depends upon the application. Most of the crazy and creative architectural designs, you look at the elevation purpose, you have complex contours walls over the beam that would represent by continuous equations of variation of the load in order to design the beam to carry such a innovative aesthetic designs designed by architects. So in such cases, we will see that complexity of mathematics involved and so on. That's nothing but integration to find the resultant of such kind of distributed load. But now we are going for a simplest case, uniformly varying load I take. This can also be constant. Here also 40, here also 40. Everywhere in this span can be 40. So, but I take this condition. So this is the loading. External loads are this UVL. I call that a uniformly varying load, so UVL. And this is a concentrated load and the two supports. So this is now a configuration of the given beam. Configuration of the beam. So the beam can have a different section. That means if I cut the beam along this, that beam can be of rectangular section. This beam can be of hollow rectangular section. Or this beam could have been an I section. Or this beam could have been a C section. Like that, different sections and the different sections and their orientation dimensions do play an important role to say an important property of the beam called load carrying capacity. Beams are horizontal members and they are used to carry the load and transfer the load to the supports, and they will have different sections. So the section properties are very important, and we would focus on the section properties in a separate module later in our course. But I wanted to say that this line represents now of various sections like this. So if I cut this beam across anywhere, the cross section would appear any of this, and the section properties we will study in detail in later course. Later module of this course. And this today finding these reactions, drawing free body diagram, understanding this all are prerequisite for your mechanics of material course. At the moment, I consider this beam to be a rigid body. So consideration. What is important consideration? Beam to be a rigid body. A beam to be a rigid body. So if I consider beam to be a rigid body, there is no deformation. That is different thing, and we are going to look at only finding the support reaction. So you would know now. Next step I'm going to do is I'm going to draw free body diagram for that purpose. So what is free body diagram? Let me draw a schematic line of this beam, right? As a horizontal line, and show first the active forces. So this is point A, this is point C, this is point D, this is point B, and this is point C, right? Okay, this is point C, so let us say this point is E, this point is E. So let me show the active forces. Here the active forces are 80 kilonewton force at NDE, and this uniformly distributed load I'm going to represent as the individual or the resultant of this uniformly distributed load. So for that purpose of representation, I divide this trapezoidal geometrical representation of this UVL into rectangular and triangular variation. So the rectangular variation represent the uniform constant load part, and triangular variation represent linear variation part. So the resultant of them would act at the CG location of this rectangle. So here you look at the unit, it is not only kilonewton per meter. So the variation is per unit length. So for the given span, what would be can be found out. So the portion which is below this dotted line drawn is rectangular portion, and the area of this rectangle would be the resultant of this distributed portion of the UVL. So that would act at mid-span of this CD, say that's this point, and represented by a concentrated load, and the magnitude of the load would be 40 into the span 6 kilonewton. And then you see the triangular variation which is above here should be from 0 to, now from this to this point is 40. So I divide this UVL as UDL and UVL again. So this is the 40, 0 to 40, and it goes. The area of this triangle is half BH, and the centroid location of this triangle, I would have that resultant force. So that would be from the vertex 2/3 or from the side 1/3. You know that. So if I take that from 1/3 from here, the 6 meter, 2 meters here, I would have that load, and that load would be represented by half into base of this triangle span 6 into height of the triangle represent the distributed load 40 now kilonewton per meter. So if I multiply this all, I would have an equivalent concentrated load at this location. So now I know the location's distance from here to here. The 40 into 6 kilonewton load would be 2 plus 3, 5 meters. And for the other load here is how much it is from here to, so 4, 2 plus 2, 6 meters. 2 plus 4, 6 meters, because 1/3 distance from here is 2 meters, from here 4 meters, so 2 plus 4, 6 meters. This load would be acting. So I could now draw a beam free body diagram partially with the all active force, and now I have to represent my reactive forces. The reactive forces are the reactions at the supports appropriately. So hinge, it arrests the translation. So I would have this translational hinge reactions as the components of the reaction in vertical direction given by AY and in horizontal direction given by AX. So this is the representation of reaction RA by the components at point A. There is no reaction moment as this is hinge. If it is cantilever, then I will have reaction moment also that you have seen in the last class. In this case, it is not so. And then reaction at point B. Now see the slope of this over which the roller is mounted is 30 degrees. So the normal here is the direction of my reaction, and that would have a direction to the vertical, the same angle, 30 degrees. That's what we have seen in the earlier classes. So at point B, I would have my reaction RB, which would have inclination to the vertical 30 degrees, right? 30 degrees. So this is exactly a free body diagram of this important example beam problem and finding their support reactions. All right. So once we have drawn this, that's all. Next is just a procedure to do. So let me ask you now some question. Is this free body diagram consist of only 3 forces? Anybody? By observation? Sahil Chaudhary? Aravind Yi? Yeah, is this free body diagram consist of only 3 forces? Aravind? You are not answering. So it's not 3 forces, maybe 3 active forces, but the reactions also should be considered. Free body diagram system of forces means it is both active and reactive forces. That is to remember always. I just have asked that question. That's the purpose. So here it is not a concurrent system. It is not a parallel system. It is general system of forces acting on this. Since it is more than 3 forces, not concurrent, Lami's theorem application here it's not viable and not suitable as well. We cannot apply that here. So it's a simple case that I can apply only condition of equilibrium to solve for these 3 unknowns. So I require 3 algebraic equation, and those 3 algebraic equation comes from the fact that in a free body diagram resultant 0. So when you say resultant 0, it is essentially sigma fx square plus sigma fy square equals 0. That gives you this equation sigma fx equal to 0, sigma fy equal to 0, and it's not only resultant 0, also resultant moment should be 0. So since it is a planar system of forces, the moment would be by the forces is only about the axis perpendicular to this board. So it is one equation, sigma m is equal to 0. So these 3 equations are required now to solve this 3 unknowns, and that would be solved very simply. First by applying this equation, because I have 3 unknowns, 2 are concurrent at point A. So if I take a moment at point A, I would use this equation sigma m is equal to 0, and I can solve for this unknown RB. So let me just do that. Sigma ma equals to 0, considering I would be able to find RB. So now this RB also can be represented for convenience by its component. So one is this vertical component. So what is the vertical component? See this angle 30 degrees to vertical. So it is RB cos 30. And the other component is this, which is RB sin 30. So RB sin 30 is collinear along the beam, which would not participate in this equation, whereas RB cos 30 would participate in this equation, and that is the force. And the perpendicular distance or the moment arm is AB. So AB is 10 meters. So I would easily fill in this equation, and that would create a moment about point A. So momentum is AB. This force would try to create counterclockwise moment. So I would write first plus RB cos 30 multiplied by 10 moment arm, and then these two. So here this is 240. So minus, see this 240 and the moment arm is this distance, and that would expect to have a clockwise moment effect. So that is 240 into 5 meters, and this 3 into 40, 120 minus 120 into 6 meters. That's all equal to 0. So now it's simple to work out for this unknown RB. So this RB would be equal to 120 into 6 plus 240 into 5 divided by 10 cos 30. So what is your answer? RB. So you would get that as 341.8. Yeah. Yeah, 341.8 kilonewton. And and here you have this. The next what is that? What is the direction of this? It's 30 degrees to vertical, or it is 60 degrees to horizontal. This is my RV that is found from this equation. Now to find out AX and AY, I can use the other two equations independently. So here this is solving them independently because we first apply this equation. So I know now this horizontal component, and I can solve now for AX. For that, sigma Fx equal to 0 to the right positive is the convention. So AX, and you see this all are vertical except this one. So this is RB sine 30. So RB is 341.8 sine 30. So why minus sign is because the direction of this RB component is towards left. So it's minus, that's equal to 0. Therefore, I would have AX equals 341.8 into sine 30. So half the value of that, that's going to be 170.9 kilonewton to the right. And to get my vertical component unknown, sigma Fy equals 0, convention upward positive, I would have AY plus RB cos 30. RB is 341.8 cos 30 minus 240, which is the first load, minus 120 minus 80 equals to, yeah, in this there is one mistake I did. Can anyone point out what is that? I missed out one.
80 kilonewton.
Yeah, I put the answer correct, but I forgot to include this. So when I take a moment equation, this 2 force, this I forgot to include in this. Good that you are all carefully listening to me. So this 80 kilonewton would create what moment about point A? Clockwise or counterclockwise? Clockwise. So minus 80 into the distance is 13 meters. So that would also be there here, and that would be added in this numerator, 80 into 13. So this all put together is what is this answer? This answer is correct because I have here my answer that I have put it here. So continuing with this, now let me just put what is AY. So AY, this all are taken on the other side. So it is 240 plus 120 plus 80 divided by, sorry, minus 341.8 cos 30. So I would have my AY. So AY value happens to be 143.99 or 144 kilonewton force upward. This is my AY. So I have my AX and AY. you are asked to find out the reactions, then you have to write the resultant of the reaction. So resultant of the reaction is Ra, which is equal to under root of Ax square plus Ay square. That would be equal to root of 170.9 square plus 144 square. That's going to be equal to 223.1 5 kilonewton. And the direction of this Ra would be what? To the horizontal will always represent, because this is to right, this is upward. When I bring these two tails, that represent first quadrant, so the direction is this theta, and the theta value will be tan inverse of Ay by Ax. So that's going to be tan inverse of 144 by 170.9. I would have my angle 40.12 degrees. So that's all. This is how you would be able to solve for support reaction. So today we are able to solve it by applying condition of equilibrium. So you know when to apply Lamè's theorem, you know when to use these equations, and what is configuration diagram, what is free body diagram, and so on. Right? Okay. Let me take another